The candles flickered on the small table as Hyunwoo smiled at his wife. 3 years of marriage, and Nari still made his heart race. The restaurant was quiet tonight, just the way they liked it. New Seoul Colony might be small, but it felt like home with her by his side. "Happy anniversary," Hyunwoo said, raising his glass of wine. 3 years of putting up with a soldier. You deserve a medal." Nari laughed, but something was wrong. Her hands shook as she lifted her glass. The wine spilled a little on the white tablecloth. "Hyunwoo, I need to tell you something." "What is it?" He reached across the table and took her hand. Her skin felt different. Warm, but not the usual warm. It was getting warmer. "I'm not who you think I am." Nari's voice was barely a whisper. She looked around the restaurant, making sure no one was listening. "I'm not human." Hyunwoo blinked. "What do you mean? Of course you're human. We've been married for 3 years. I know you." "No, you don't." Tears started flowing down her face. As they did, her skin began to change. Soft blue light appeared under her skin, moving like water. The light got brighter, making patterns across her arms and face. Hyunwoo stared. His wife was glowing. Actually glowing. "Nari, what's happening to you?" "My real name is Veltara. I'm the crown princess of the Alterian Empire." The words came, out fast, like she had been holding them in for years. "I ran away from my home planet to escape a marriage I didn't want. I came here to hide." The restaurant felt like it was spinning. Hyunwoo gripped the table. "You're an alien? A princess?" "Yes. I use technology to look human, but when I get upset, the disguise stops working." She looked at her glowing hands. "I fell in love with you, Hyunwoo. That wasn't part of the plan. I was supposed to hide for a few months and then move on. But you were so kind, so different from anyone I had ever met." Hyunwoo's military training kicked in. Stay calm, process the information, make decisions later. "Okay, so you're an alien princess. You ran away from home. You've been hiding here for 3 years. He paused. "Do you love me?" "More than anything in the universe." Her voice was strong now. "But they found me. My people found me." As if her words had summoned them, the restaurant door burst open. 3 tall figures walked in, wearing silver armor that seemed to move like liquid. Their skin had the same blue glow as Nari's, but brighter, much brighter. The other people in the restaurant froze, staring. The leader removed his helmet. His face was like a human's, but sharper, more perfect. His eyes were completely blue, no white parts at all. "Princess Veltara, you will come with us." "Captain Zixtal," Nari said, standing up. The glow under her skin got even brighter. "I told the council I would not return. The choice is no longer yours. The Empire needs you. Your wedding has been arranged." Zixtal looked at Hyunwoo with disgust. "This primitive attachment ends now." Hyunwoo stood up. He was tall for a human, but these aliens were taller. That didn't matter. "She's my wife. She can make her own choices." Zixtal laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. "Your wife? How amusing. Human, you know nothing of our ways, but perhaps you should learn." One of the other aliens stepped forward. This one was female, with the same glowing skin but covered in tattoos that seemed to move. She was built like a soldier, all muscle and scars. Her eyes never stopped moving, watching everything. "This is Kira-shan," Nari said quietly. "My battle sister." "Your what?" Hyunwoo asked. "Every member of our royal family has a battle sister. She is genetically enhanced to protect me. We are bonded for life." Nari looked scared now. "Kira-shan, please, I'm happy here." Kira-shan spoke for the first time. Her voice was deep and cold. "Happiness is not important. Duty is important. You will return and fulfill your obligations." "What obligations?" Hyunwoo asked, though he was starting to get a bad feeling about this. Zixtal smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Since you seem so concerned with the princess's welfare, human, perhaps you should know the full truth. By your primitive human laws, you are married to her, but by Alterian law, that marriage means nothing. However," Zixtal continued, "if you wish to make it legal under our law, you must follow our customs. Any male who bonds with a member of the royal family must also bond with her battle sister. It is called Trivala, the three bond. Hyunwoo felt like the ground had dropped out from under him. You mean I have to marry both of them? If you wish to remain married to Veltara, yes. If you refuse, the marriage is void. She will return home and marry the one chosen for her by the council. Zixtal's blue eyes glowed brighter. Of course, refusing would also be seen as an insult to the Empire, and we do not forgive insults from lesser species. Lesser species? Hyunwoo's anger was building. He had dealt with alien prejudice before, but this was different. This was personal. Humans are barely out of their home system, Kira Shan said. You have no real technology, no real power. You are children playing with tools you don't understand. That's enough. Nari's voice cut through the tension. Hyunwoo is worth 10 of any Alterian male. He has more honor in his little finger than most of your warriors have in their entire bodies. Then let him prove it, Zixtal said. Let him take the trials of worthiness. If he succeeds, the tri-bond will be recognized. If he fails, he dies, and you return home to marry as the council commands. The restaurant was completely quiet now. Everyone was staring at them. Hyunwoo realized this conversation would change everything. Not just for him and Nari, but possibly for all of humanity's relations with alien species. And if I don't try at all? He asked. Then you are a coward, and we take the princess home tonight. Any human ships that try to stop us will be destroyed. Zixtal's hand moved to the weapon at his side. Choose quickly, human. My patience runs thin. Hyunwoo looked at Nari. She was crying again, the blue light under her skin pulsing with her heartbeat. He looked at Kira Shan, who was watching him like a predator watches prey. Then he looked at Zixtal, who clearly expected him to back down like a frightened animal. 3 years ago, Hyunwoo had joined the Earth Defense Corps to protect people. He had never expected to protect them from his wife's family, but here he was. I'll do it, he said. I'll take your trials. Nari gasped. Kira Shan raised an eyebrow. Zixtal smiled that cold smile again. Excellent. We leave for Veltaris Prime immediately. I hope you have said goodbye to your home, human. Most who take the trials never see their worlds again. The journey to Veltaris Prime took 5 days. Hyunwoo spent most of that time in a small room on the Alterian ship, trying not to think about what he had gotten himself into. The ship itself was amazing. It moved through space without any sound, and the walls seemed to be alive, shifting colors like Nari's skin. Nari visited him when she could, but Zixtal kept her busy with princess duties. When they did talk, she tried to prepare him for what was coming. The trials have killed many aliens, she said on the 3rd day. Strong species like the Karathi and the Velm, species that are much stronger than humans. What exactly are these trials? Hyunwoo asked. There are 3 tests, the test of mind, the test of body, and the test of spirit. Each one is designed to push someone to their breaking point. She took his hand. Hyunwoo, you don't have to do this. We could run away, find some planet where they can't follow. And spend our lives hiding, always looking over our shoulders? Hyunwoo shook his head. Besides, what about Earth? What about other humans who might meet aliens someday? If I run now, it sets a bad example. Kira Shan appeared in the doorway. She had been doing that a lot, showing up without warning. You think much of your species for someone so weak. I think all species deserve respect, Hyunwoo replied, even ones that think they're better than everyone else. Something flickered in Kira Shan's eyes. Surprise, maybe. You speak boldly for someone about to die. I'm not planning to die. Plans change. She stepped into the room. I have studied your species. Humans are emotional, unpredictable. You make decisions based on feelings instead of logic. This makes you weak. Maybe. Or maybe it makes us stronger in ways you don't understand. Kira Shan stared at him for a long moment. Then she left without saying anything else. When they finally arrived at Veltaris Prime, Hyunwoo understood why the Alterians thought they were better than everyone else. The planet was beautiful beyond description. 3 moons hung in a purple sky, and the cities looked like they were made of crystal and light. Everything glowed with that same blue energy he had seen in Nari's skin. The palace was the most amazing thing he had ever seen. It was built into a mountain, with towers that reached up into the clouds. As their ship landed, Hyunwoo could see thousands of Alterians gathered to watch. News of the human challenger had spread quickly. "Stay close to me," Nari whispered as they walked through the palace corridors. "Some of the nobles will try to intimidate you." She wasn't wrong. Alterians lined the hallways, all of them tall and glowing and perfect. They stared at Hyunwoo like he was some kind of strange animal. Some of them laughed, others looked disgusted. The throne room was huge. The ceiling disappeared into darkness, and the walls were covered in moving patterns of light. At the far end, two figures sat on thrones made of what looked like crystallized starlight. Emperor Thalvex was the most imposing being Hyunwoo had ever seen. He was nearly 8 feet tall, with skin that glowed brighter than anyone else's. His eyes were like looking into deep space, full of stars and darkness. Beside him sat High Matriarch Yel Andra. She looked younger than the Emperor, but her eyes were older. Much older. When she looked at Hyunwoo, he felt like she could see right through him. "So this is the human who thinks he can bond with our princess," the Emperor said. His voice echoed in the vast room. "You are smaller than I expected." "Size isn't everything," Hyunwoo replied. Several nobles gasped at his boldness. The Emperor laughed. "Indeed, we shall see if you have other qualities to compensate." He stood up, and the light from his skin filled the room. "Human, do you understand what you are asking for?" "I'm asking to keep my wife." "Your wife." The High Matriarch spoke for the first time. Such a simple concept for such a simple species. Among Alterians, bonding is not just about love. It is about duty, honor, and the continuation of our bloodline. I understand that. Do you? Do you understand that if you succeed in these trials, you will be bonded not just to Veltara, but to Kirashan as well? That you will be responsible for protecting both of them? That their lives will be in your hands?" Hyunwoo looked at Kirashan, who was standing near the throne. She was watching him with those cold eyes, waiting for him to back down. "I understand. And do you understand that failure means death, not just for you, but possibly for your entire species? If you fail, it will prove that humans are too weak to be trusted with important alliances." That was new information. Hyunwoo felt the weight of it settle on his shoulders. This wasn't just about him and Nari anymore. This was about humanity's place in the galaxy. Before he could answer, another voice spoke from the back of the room. "Your Majesty, I must protest." A woman walked forward. She was human, wearing the uniform of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. "I am Dr. Sojin Lee, Earth's ambassador to the Alterian Empire. This trial could set a dangerous precedent for human-alien relations." "Ah, yes, the human diplomat," the Emperor said. "You have come to save your species mate?" "I have come to observe and to ensure that Earth's interests are protected," Dr. Lee said. She looked at Hyunwoo. "Commander Park, you should consider the implications of your actions. If you succeed, other humans might face similar demands from alien species. If you fail, it could lead to sanctions against all human colonies." "And if I walk away?" Hyunwoo asked. "Then your people will be seen as weak, but alive," Kirashan said. "It is the logical choice." Hyunwoo thought about it. He thought about Nari, about Earth, about all the humans who might meet aliens in the future. He thought about the restaurant on New Seoul and the life he had built there. He thought about running away and spending his life hiding. "No," he said finally, "I won't walk away." The Emperor nodded. "Very well. The trials will begin tomorrow. Tonight, you will rest and prepare. Kirashan will explain the rules." As the crowd began to leave, Kirashan approached him. "You have made a foolish choice, human." "Maybe, but it's my choice to make. The first trial will test your mind. Most aliens go insane within the first hour. Those who don't usually die from the strain." "What exactly happens?" "You will enter the mind maze while our best telepaths attack your thoughts. You must solve complex puzzles while fighting for your sanity." She paused. "No human has ever faced Alterian telepaths. Your primitive brains are not built for it. We'll see. The second trial tests your body. You will fight our warriors in an arena that changes constantly. You must survive for 1 full day. And the third trial? For the first time since he had met her, Kira-shan looked uncomfortable. The third trial tests your spirit. You enter the void chamber and face your greatest fears. Most beings break completely. Those who don't sometimes wish they had. Have you taken these trials? I was born bonded to Velterra. I never had to prove my worth. She looked at him strangely. But if I had to, I would be afraid of the third trial. That night, Nari came to his room. She had been crying. I'm sorry, she said. I should have told you the truth years ago. Why, didn't you? Because I was happy. For the first time in my life, I was truly happy. I didn't want to ruin it. She sat beside him on the bed. Hyunwoo, tomorrow the trials begin. If something happens to me, if you don't survive, I want you to know that these 3 years with you were the best of my life. Nothing is going to happen to us, he said, taking her in his arms. I'm going to pass these trials. We're going to be together. How can you be so sure? Because I have something to fight for, and humans are really good at fighting for what they love. Outside the window, the 3 moons of Velterra's Prime shone down on the Crystal City. Tomorrow, Hyunwoo would begin the trials that could change everything for humanity. Tonight, he held his wife and tried not to think about all the ways he could die. The arena was packed with thousands of Alterians. Hyunwoo had never seen so many glowing beings in one place. Their combined light made the entire stadium shine like a star. He stood in the center of the arena floor, wearing simple combat clothes. No armor, no weapons, just him and his human determination. Citizens of Velterra's Prime, the Emperor's voice boomed across the arena. Today we witness the first human to attempt the trials of worthiness. Commander Hyunwoo Park of Earth will face 3 tests that have defeated countless warriors from across the galaxy. The crowd made sounds that might have been cheering or might have been laughing. Hyunwoo couldn't tell the difference. The first trial begins now, the Emperor announced. The test of mind. A door opened in the arena wall. Inside was a room that seemed to stretch on forever. The walls, floor, and ceiling were covered in moving symbols that hurt to look at. In the center of the room was a chair made of the same crystal as the Emperor's throne. Sit in the chair, Kira-shan said. She had appeared beside him without making a sound. The mind maze will begin immediately. You must solve the puzzles while our telepaths try to break your mind. Most aliens last less than an hour. How long do I have to last? Until you solve all the puzzles. Some are simple. Others have driven genius-level beings insane. She looked at him with something that might have been concern. Human, your brain is not built for this. Alterian telepaths can destroy your mind in minutes. Then I guess I better solve the puzzles quickly. Hyunwoo walked into the room and sat in the chair. The moment he touched it, the world exploded. Pain shot through his head like lightning. Voices that weren't his own started screaming in his mind. Images flashed before his eyes. Things that couldn't be real, things that were too real, things that made him want to run away and hide. But underneath all the noise and pain, he could see the first puzzle. It was a pattern of lights on the wall. The pattern kept changing, and he had to figure out what came next. The telepathic attack got worse. The voices in his head started telling him he was worthless, that he would fail, that Nari would die because of him. They showed him images of Earth burning, of humans being enslaved by alien races. Hyunwoo gritted his teeth and focused on the puzzle. The pattern was mathematical. Each light represented a number, and the sequence followed a rule. He had always been good at math. His military training had made him even better. He solved the first puzzle. The voices got angrier. The second puzzle was harder. It involved 3-dimensional shapes that moved through the air. Hyunwoo had to track their movements and predict where they would be. The telepaths tried to confuse him by filling his vision with fake shapes, but he ignored them. His human brain was doing something the Alterians didn't expect. Instead of trying to fight the telepathic attacks, he was learning to live with them. Like a soldier learns to fight while under fire, he was solving puzzles while under mental attack. The third puzzle was about emotions. The Alterians showed him false memories, Nari leaving him, his parents dying, his friends betraying him. But Hyunwoo knew these weren't real. He had practiced telling the difference between reality and fear. Every soldier did. The telepaths tried a different approach. They showed him real memories, but twisted them. His wedding day, but with Nari laughing at him. His military service, but with him failing to save his comrades. His childhood, but with his parents disappointed in everything he did. This was harder to resist. These felt real because they were based on real things. But Hyunwoo had learned something important during his years as a soldier. You are not your worst moments. Everyone fails sometimes. What matters is what you do next. He solved the 4th, 5th, and 6th puzzles. The crowd in the arena was getting quiet. According to Kira-shan, most aliens were broken or dead by now. The 7th puzzle was the hardest yet. It required him to think in 4 dimensions while the telepaths filled his head with the sound of screaming. But Hyunwoo had something the other aliens didn't have, years of military training and staying calm under pressure. He solved it. The 8th and final puzzle appeared. This one was different. It wasn't about math or shapes or logic. It was about understanding what it meant to be bonded to someone else. The puzzle showed him Nari and Kira-shan, and he had to figure out how to protect both of them while they protected each other. The answer came to him suddenly. It wasn't about being stronger than them or smarter than them. It was about being part of a team, about trusting them to do their part while he did his. He solved the final puzzle. The voices in his head stopped. The pain ended. The room went quiet. Hyunwoo stood up from the chair and walked back into the arena. The crowd was completely silent now. Even the Emperor looked surprised. The test of mind is complete, the Emperor announced. The human has succeeded. The cheering that followed was different from before. It sounded like respect instead of mockery. Well done, Kira-shan said quietly. I have never seen anyone solve the puzzles so quickly. My brain is primitive, remember? Hyunwoo said with a smile. Something that might have been a smile flickered across Kira-shan's face. Perhaps I was wrong about that. The second trial began immediately. The arena floor changed, becoming a complex landscape of hills, valleys, and obstacles that moved and shifted constantly. Weapons appeared scattered across the field. Swords, spears, energy weapons that Hyunwoo didn't recognize. The test of body, the Emperor announced. The challenger must survive for 1 full day against our greatest warriors in an ever-changing battlefield. The first opponent appeared. He was huge, even for an Alterian, with muscles that looked like they were carved from stone. His skin glowed brighter than anyone else's, and his hands ended in claws that could cut through metal. The warrior charged. Hyunwoo dove to the side and grabbed a spear from the ground. The Alterian was stronger and faster, but Hyunwoo had fought stronger and faster opponents before. He had learned to use their strength against them. The battle lasted 20 minutes. Hyunwoo won by using the shifting terrain to his advantage. When the ground tilted, the warrior's size and weight made him clumsy. When it became slippery, Hyunwoo's better balance kept him standing. The second opponent was faster, with 4 arms and weapons in each hand. This fight was harder, but Hyunwoo had learned something from the first battle. He didn't have to win. Quickly, he just had to survive. He fought defensively, letting the warrior tire himself out. When the arena floor became a maze of walls, Hyunwoo used the narrow spaces to limit his opponent's advantage. The third opponent was the hardest yet. She was a female warrior with the same tattoos as Kira-shan, marking her as an elite guard. She was fast, strong, and smart. But she was also overconfident. Hyunwoo pretended to be more tired than he was. When she came in for what she thought would be a finishing blow, he was ready. The fight ended with her unconscious and him still standing. More opponents came throughout the day. Each one was different, with different weapons and fighting styles. But Hyunwoo had something they didn't expect: human stubbornness. He refused to give up, no matter how tired or hurt he got. By the time the sun set, he had defeated 12 opponents. His clothes were torn, he was covered in cuts and bruises, but he was still alive. More importantly, he was still standing. The crowd was cheering now, really cheering. The sound echoed off the arena walls like thunder. The test of body is complete, the Emperor announced. The human has survived. Kira-shan appeared beside him again. This time, she was definitely smiling. You fight like no alien I have ever seen. How do I fight? like someone who cares more about protecting others than about winning glory. She paused. It is interesting. That night, Nari came to see him again. She helped him clean his wounds and brought him food. 2 trials down, she said. 1 more to go. The test of spirit. What exactly is that? Nari's expression grew dark. It's the worst one. You enter a chamber that reads your mind and creates perfect illusions of your greatest fears. Most beings never come out. Those who do are usually broken. What are you afraid of? Hyunwoo asked. Losing you. Failing my people. Being trapped in a marriage with someone who doesn't love me. She looked at him. What are you afraid of? Hyunwoo thought about it. Not being good enough. Not being strong enough to protect the people I care about. Making the wrong choice and having people suffer because of it. The chamber will use those fears against you. It will make them seem real. But they're not real. In the chamber, they will feel real. More real than reality. Hyunwoo held her close. Tomorrow would be the final trial. If he passed, they would be bonded forever. If he failed, he would die, and she would be forced to marry someone else. I won't fail, he said. How? Can you be so sure? Because I have something the chamber can't understand. I have hope, and hope is stronger than fear. The void chamber looked innocent enough from the outside. It was just a small round room with smooth black walls. No windows, no decorations, nothing that seemed dangerous. But Hyunwoo could feel the wrongness radiating from it like heat from a fire. This is where the real test begins, Kira-chan said. She was standing beside him at the chamber entrance, and for the first time since he had met her, she looked worried. The chamber reads your deepest thoughts and creates perfect illusions based on your worst fears. It knows things about you that you don't even know about yourself. How long do I have to stay inside? Until you break, or until you prove you cannot be broken? Some aliens last minutes. Some last hours. The longest anyone has ever lasted was 3 days. She paused. He came out completely insane. Hyunwoo looked through the chamber's transparent door. The inside was completely black, like looking into deep space. What happens if I don't go in? Then you fail the trials. Veltara returns home to marry someone chosen by the council, and humanity is marked as a species too weak to be trusted with important alliances. The Emperor's voice echoed through the arena. Let the final trial begin. May the spirits of your ancestors give you strength, human, for you will need it. Hyunwoo stepped into the chamber. The door sealed behind him with a sound like breaking glass. For a moment, everything was quiet and dark. Then the walls began to glow with a soft, sickly light. The first vision hit him like a punch to the stomach. He was back on Earth, in his childhood home. His parents were there, but they looked disappointed. More than disappointed. They looked disgusted. This is what our son became, his father said to his mother, a failure who runs away to marry an alien monster. We raised him wrong, his mother replied. We should have made him stronger. Now look at him, about to die in some alien game while his wife watches. Hyunwoo knew this wasn't real. His parents had been proud of him when he joined the Earth Defense Corps. They had been happy when he married Nari, but knowing something isn't real and feeling it aren't the same thing. The vision changed. Now he was on New Soul Colony, but it was burning. Alien ships filled the sky, and humans were running in terror. A voice spoke from everywhere and nowhere. This is your fault, Hyunwoo Park. You tried to be a hero, and now your species will pay the price. Everyone who dies today dies because you were too proud to know your place. He saw Dr. So-Jin Lee lying dead in the street. He saw the restaurant where he had proposed to Nari reduced to ashes. He saw children crying as alien soldiers dragged their parents away. Not real, Hyunwoo said aloud. His voice echoed strangely in the chamber. This isn't real, but the vision felt real. It smelled real. When he touched the burning buildings, the heat felt real on his skin. When he heard the screams, his heart broke as if they were really dying. The chamber changed the vision again. Now he was in the arena, But he was losing the trials. He was on his knees while Altarian warriors laughed at him. In the royal box, he could see Nari crying as Kirashan looked away in disgust. Pathetic, the vision Kirashan said. I knew humans were weak, but this is worse than I expected. Veltara, how could you bond yourself to such a creature? I was foolish, Vision Nari replied. I thought he was different, but he's just another primitive who thought he could play with superior beings. This one was harder to resist. Hyunwoo had always worried that he wasn't good enough for Nari. The chamber was taking that fear and making it seem real. But as he watched the false version of his wife reject him, something clicked in his mind. This wasn't how Nari talked. This wasn't how she thought. The real Nari would never call anyone a primitive creature. She had fallen in love with humanity, partly because humans didn't think that way. You're not her, he said to the vision. Nari would never say those words. The vision flickered and changed again. Now he was alone in space, floating in the darkness. Between stars, Earth was far away, just a tiny blue dot. He could hear voices calling to him, but he couldn't reach them. He was lost, forgotten, with no way home. This is what you chose, a voice whispered in the darkness. You left your own kind to chase after an alien dream. Now you belong nowhere. You are nothing. The loneliness was overwhelming. Humans were social creatures, and the chamber knew this. It showed him a future where he was forever cut off from both humanity and the Alterians, belonging to neither world. But even in this vision, Hyunwoo found strength. He thought about the soldiers he had served with, the friends he had made, the family he had left behind. They were still with him, even if he couldn't see them. Love didn't disappear just because you were far from home. The chamber tried a different approach. It showed him Nari dying because he wasn't strong enough to protect her. It showed him making the wrong choices in battle, leading his friends into traps. It showed him every mistake he had ever made, magnified and twisted into proof that he was worthless. Each vision hurt more than the last. The chamber was learning what affected him most, and it was getting better at creating fears that seemed real. But something strange was happening. The more the chamber tried to break him, the more clearly Hyunwoo could see what really mattered to him. He was afraid of failing the people he loved. That was true. But that fear came from love, and love was stronger than fear. The chamber could show him failure, but it couldn't take away the reasons he was fighting. Hours passed, or maybe days. Time worked differently in the chamber. The visions kept coming, each one designed to find his breaking point. But instead of breaking, Hyunwoo was getting stronger. He started talking back to the visions. When the chamber showed him Earth burning, he said, "That's not going to happen. I'm going to pass these trials and make sure humans and Alterians are allies." When it showed him Nari rejecting him, he said, "The real Nari loves me for who I am. She doesn't care that I'm human." When it showed him dying alone in space, he said, "I'm not alone. I carry everyone I've ever loved with me." The chamber grew frustrated. It could sense that its usual methods weren't working, so it tried something new. It showed him the truth. Suddenly, Hyunwoo could see outside the chamber. He could see Kira-shan, watching through the observation window, her face tense with worry. He could see Nari in the royal box, tears streaming down her glowing cheeks. He could see the emperor and the high matriarch discussing something in low voices. "She's suffering because of you," the chamber whispered. "Look at her pain. This is what your pride has cost her." This was the cruelest vision yet, because it was real. Nari really was suffering. She really was afraid he would die. His choice to take the trials really was causing her pain. For the first time since entering the chamber, Hyunwoo felt his resolve waver. Maybe he should have just walked away. Maybe he should have let her go back to her old life. Maybe love meant letting go. But then he remembered something Nari had told him on their first date. She had said that the best thing about humans was that they never gave up on the people they loved, even when it was hard, even when it hurt. "Yes, she's suffering," Hyunwoo said to the chamber. "But she's not suffering because I'm here. She's suffering because she's afraid of losing me. And if I give up now, she will lose me. Forever." The chamber made one last attempt. It showed him a vision of perfect peace. He was back on Earth, living a simple life. No aliens, no trials, No impossible choices. Just him and a quiet job and a normal human wife who would never put him in danger. This could be your life, the chamber offered. Safe, simple, easy. All you have to do is admit that you're not strong enough for this. Admit that humans should stay in their place. Hyun-woo looked at the peaceful vision and felt tempted. It would be easier. It would be safer. No one would get hurt. But it wouldn't be real. The real Hyun-woo was someone who fought for what he believed in. The real Hyun-woo was someone who had fallen in love with an alien princess and decided that love was worth fighting for. I am strong enough, he said firmly. And humans don't have a place. We make our own place. The chamber went silent. The vision stopped. The sickly light faded. Hyun-woo stood alone in the darkness, but he wasn't afraid anymore. He had faced every fear the chamber could create, and he was still himself, still standing, still ready to fight for the people he loved. The door opened. Light streamed in from the arena, nearly blinding him after so long in the dark. He walked out of the chamber on steady legs. The arena was completely quiet. Thousands of Alterians stared at him in silence. Even the Emperor looked shocked. How long was I in there? Hyun-woo asked Kira-shan. 2 days, she replied quietly. No one has ever lasted that long and come out unchanged. I'm not unchanged, Hyun-woo said. I'm stronger. The Emperor stood up from his throne. The test of spirit is complete. The human has not only survived, but has shown courage beyond measure. His voice carried across the silent arena. Commander Hyun-woo Park of Earth, you have passed all 3 trials. You are worthy to bond with the royal family of Alteria. The crowd exploded into cheering, but Hyun-woo barely heard it. He was looking at Nari, who was running toward him from the royal box. When she reached him, she threw her arms around him and held him tight. I thought I had lost you, she whispered. Never, he replied. I told you, humans are really good at fighting for what they love. Kira-shan approached them slowly. Her expression was different now. The tri-bonding ceremony was unlike anything Hyun-woo had ever seen. The palace's great hall was filled with thousands of Alterians, all of them glowing softly in the dim light. Floating crystals provided music that seemed to come from the air itself. The floor was covered in patterns that moved and shifted like living things. Hyun-woo stood between Nari and Kira-shan at the center of it all. He wore ceremonial robes that the palace tailors had made for him, the first human-sized formal wear in Alterian history. Nari looked beautiful in her royal dress, which seemed to be made of liquid starlight. Kira-shan wore her warrior's formal armor, polished until it shone like a mirror. The tri-bond ceremony requires more than just words, the High Matriarch explained as she prepared the ritual. Your minds must touch. Your souls must recognize each other. If there is any doubt, any false feeling, the bond will fail. What happens if it fails? Hyun-woo asked. Then you are all free to go your separate ways, but it will mean that the trials were meaningless, that you are not truly compatible. She looked at him seriously. It has happened before. Warriors who passed the trials, but could not complete the bonding. The ceremony began with ancient words in the Alterian language. Hyun-woo couldn't understand them, but he could feel their power. The air around them started to glow, and he felt a strange tingling in his mind. Now we join hands, Nari said softly. The real test begins. Hyun-woo took Nari's hand with his right and Kira-shan's with his left. The moment their skin touched, the world changed. Suddenly he could feel their thoughts. Not just their words, but their emotions, their memories, their deepest feelings. It was overwhelming at first, like trying to drink from a fire hose. From Nari, he felt love so strong it took his breath away. But also fear. Fear that she wasn't worthy of his sacrifice. Fear that she had ruined his life by bringing him into this situation. He felt her memories of growing up as a princess, always watched, never free to choose her own path until she met him. From Kira-shan came something more complex. Confusion, mainly. She had spent her whole life believing that emotional bonds made warriors weak, but watching Hyun-woo in the trials had shaken that belief. She felt his memories through the link, his military service, his determination to protect others, his refusal to give up even when everything seemed hopeless. "Your thoughts are different," Kira-san said, her voice echoing strangely in the mental link. "You do not think like any species I have known." Through the bond, Hyunwoo could see her memories too, her childhood training to be the perfect warrior. The genetic modifications that made her stronger and faster, but also cut her off from normal emotional connections. Her loyalty to Nari, which was the one feeling she had never questioned. "You're not cut off from emotions," Hyunwoo realized. "You just learned to hide them so well that you forgot they were there." In the mental link, he showed them both something from his own memories, a mission during his military service when his unit had been surrounded by enemy forces. They were outnumbered 10-1, and retreat was impossible. But instead of giving up, they had worked together, using each person's strengths to cover the other's weaknesses. They had all made it, out alive because they trusted each other completely. "This is what bonding should be," he said in the link. "Not one person protecting the others, but all of us protecting each other." Kira-san's mind recoiled from the idea at first. Everything she had been taught said that emotional bonds were weakness, that warriors should depend only on themselves. But she could feel Hyunwoo's memories, could experience how his emotional connections had made him stronger, not weaker. I do not understand," she said. "You don't have to understand it all at once," Nari said gently. "Understanding can come later. The question is whether you're willing to try." Through the bond, Hyunwoo could feel Kira-san's internal struggle. Part of her wanted to reject everything she was feeling, to go back to the cold certainty of her warrior training. But another part of her, a part she had buried so deep she had forgotten it existed, was tired of being alone. "I am afraid," she admitted, the words echoing in all their minds. "What are you afraid of?" Hyunwoo asked. "Of being weak. Of failing to protect Veltara because I have become soft." She paused. "Of caring about someone and having them leave." "Everyone is afraid of those things," Nari said. "But fear doesn't make you weak. It makes you careful. And caring about someone doesn't make you soft. It gives you something to fight for." Hyunwoo felt the moment when Kira-san's resistance finally broke. It was like watching a dam burst. All the emotions she had been suppressing for years came, flooding out. Loneliness, hope, fear, love, and underneath it all a desperate desire to belong somewhere. "I want to try," she said quietly. "I want to learn what it means to be part of a family." The mental link stabilized. Suddenly, instead of three separate minds touching, they felt like one mind with three parts. They could still think their own thoughts, but they were aware of each other in a way that was deeper than words. The High Matriarch smiled. "The bond is complete. You are now tri-bonded according to the ancient laws of Alteria." The crowd erupted in cheering, but the three of them barely noticed. They were too busy exploring their new connection. It felt strange, but also right, like finding a piece of themselves they hadn't known was missing. That night, there was a feast in their honor. Hyunwoo found himself sitting at the high table next to the emperor himself, being treated as a member of the royal family. Alien nobles who had mocked him just days before now approached him with respect and curiosity. "Tell us about human military tactics," one of them said. "Your approach to the trials was unlike anything we have seen." "Humans fight differently. Because we think differently," Hyunwoo explained. "We don't just try to be stronger than our enemies. We try to be smarter, more adaptable. We use teamwork in ways that other species don't." Dr. So-Jin Lee, who had been quiet during the ceremony, finally approached him. "Commander Park, I have to admit that I was wrong to try to stop you. What you've accomplished here could change everything for human-alien relations." "How so?" "You've proven that humans can not only survive in alien societies but thrive in them. More importantly, you've shown that our emotional connections, the things many species see as weaknesses, can actually be strengths." She was right. Already, Hyunwoo could see the effects of his success. Alterian nobles were asking questions about human culture that they never would have asked before. Some were even expressing interest in visiting Earth. Over the following weeks, life settled into a new routine. Hyunwoo took on the role of human liaison to the Alterian Empire, helping to negotiate trade agreements and cultural exchanges. His Unique position as a tri-bonded royal family member gave him influence that no human diplomat had ever possessed. Nari returned to her royal duties, but now she had support from both her bondmates. She worked on reforming some of the more rigid aspects of Altarian society, using Hyunwoo's human perspective to challenge traditions that no longer served their people. Kira Shan was perhaps the most changed of all. Her role as battle sister remained the same, but her approach to it was completely different. Instead of cold, distant protection, she became a fierce advocate for both Nari and Hyunwoo. She also began teaching other Altarian warriors about human military tactics, spreading the idea that emotional bonds could enhance rather than weaken combat effectiveness. The three of them lived in a section of the palace that had been specially modified for their tri-bond. It wasn't always easy. Learning to share not just space but thoughts and emotions took practice. But it was worth it for the moments when everything clicked, when they moved and thought together like parts of a single organism. 3 months after the ceremony, Hyunwoo received a message from Earth. It was from the Earth Defense Corps, and the news it contained changed everything. "What is it?" Nari asked, noticing his expression. "Reports are coming in from all over human space," he said, slowly. "Other humans are forming bonds with alien species, not just Altarians, Korathi, Velm, even some of the machine species. It's happening everywhere." "Is that good or bad?" Kira Shan asked. "It's unprecedented. Apparently, my success here has convinced other alien species that humans might be worth getting to know. We're getting invitations to diplomatic meetings, requests for cultural exchanges, even marriage proposals." Dr. Sojin Lee had been right. Hyunwoo's tri-bond had changed humanity's place in the galaxy. They were no longer seen as a primitive species to be ignored or pitied. They were seen as potential partners, allies, even family. "There's more," Hyunwoo continued reading. "The Earth government wants me to head up a new department, human-alien relations. They want me to help other humans navigate interspecies relationships." "Will you do it?" Nari asked. Hyunwoo looked at his wives, because that's what they were. Now, in every way that mattered. Through their bond, he could feel their support, their love, their willingness to follow wherever this new path led them. "We'll do it," he said. Together. That evening, they stood on the palace balcony, looking up at the 3 moons of Veltaris Prime. In the distance, they could see ships from dozens of species coming and going from the spaceport. The galaxy felt different now, smaller, more connected, more full of possibilities.